What turned James Corden from America's beloved national host into a name that sparked universal outrage and betrayal among fans?
I want to speak to James here. It's James, isn't it? When the presenters are up here and when the recipients are receiving their awards, don't stand at the back of the stage with your hands in your pockets, looking around as though you wished you were anywhere but here.
Oh, you couldn't be more wrong, sir. You couldn't be more wrong. Oh, genuinely. And if it looked like that, I'm so sorry. But when you come up and present an award, just get on with it. There we go.
I've decided to sign for one more year on the show, and that this will be my last year hosting the Late Late Show.
James Corden was one of the most powerful hosts on American TV, turning his charm and wit into an unmatched signature. With hundreds of millions of online views and a stack of prestigious Emmy Awards, he soared beyond the typical talk show host, joining the ranks of global stars like BTS, Justin Bieber, and Michelle Obama. To fans, Corden wasn't just an MC, he was an icon who helped shape a dazzling era of late-night television. But behind the lovable guy persona was a string of scandals that stunned the public, revealing a completely different James Corden, arrogant, hot-tempered, and downright unlikable, with no way to hide it. From publicly clashing with veteran actor Patrick Stewart on stage, to berating staff at Balthazar Restaurant, to showing contempt for colleagues and dropping comments that enraged the masses, Corden single-handedly demolished the pedestal he'd spent over a decade building. His reputation crumbled, his career tanked. The public that once idolized him turned their backs, leaving only anger and a sense of betrayal. So what turned this nation's host into Hollywood's most toxic figure? And how many secrets about James Corden are still buried? Stick with me as we peel back the curtain on the full truth, from hidden footage to never-before-revealed accusations, to the dark side of one of the world's most famous hosts. Don't look away, because what you're about to hear will change how you see James Corden forever.
Right here in LA, it's so beautiful. Harvey Weinstein has already asked tonight up to his hotel to give him a massage. I don't know whether that groan was that you like that joke or you don't like that joke. If you don't like that joke, you should probably leave now.
James Corden, born in 1978 in Hillingdon, UK, started as a little-known comedian and writer before breaking out with the History Boys and especially Gavin and Stacey, a series he co-created and starred in. The show became a UK sensation, earning him a BAFTA in 2008 and peaking with 17.1 million viewers for its 2020 Christmas special. That massive success paved the way for his American takeover, and in 2015, Corden landed the gig as host of The Late Late Show on CBS. In the US, he made his mark fast with a witty, approachable style, especially through Carpool Karaoke, where he drove, chatted, and sang with megastars like Stevie Wonder, Harry Styles, and Adele. The Adele episode alone racked up over 260 million YouTube views, with Carpool Karaoke totaling billions. James redefined late-night TV, said David Schmid, a culture professor at the University of Buffalo. He brought a fresh, friendly vibe that made viewers feel like they were hanging with a buddy. Beyond TV, Corden hosted major events like the Grammys and Tony Awards and snagged roles in blockbusters like Into the Woods and Ocean's 8. With millions of loyal fans and a brand tied to humor and sincerity, he became a global fan favorite. That meteoric rise took Corden from obscure comedian to international entertainment icon. James Corden was the ultimate cheeky chappy, a fun, relatable guy you couldn't help but love. But right at the height of his glory, the first cracks started to show. Corden admitted that after Gavin and Stacey's success, he believed he was hotter than he actually was, losing interest when conversations weren't about him. Add in a lifestyle of all-night parties and constant ego-stroking, what he called easy to get drunk on, and you've got a recipe for trouble. He'd occasionally show impulsiveness or slip up in how he treated people, but fans let it slide. To them, James Corden was the funny, down-to-earth guy, and those missteps just made him seem more real. But that forgiveness unintentionally masked the growing fractures behind the spotlight. And from those seemingly harmless mistakes, Corden slid into a string of behaviors that sent his image crashing down, yanking him off the pedestal fans once placed him on. The downward spiral of James Corden's career can be traced back to a single moment that many now see as a glimpse into his true character, a public clash with veteran actor Patrick Stewart at the 2010 Glamour Women of the Year Awards. As the event's host, Corden found himself on the receiving end of sharp criticism from Stewart, widely revered for his iconic roles in Star Trek and X-Men, who called him out on stage for his unprofessional demeanor. Stewart didn't hold back. When the host stands at the back of the stage, hands stuffed in his pockets, looking around as if he'd rather be anywhere else, that's simply unacceptable. Instead of diffusing the tension with an apology or a tactful response, Corden fired back with biting sarcasm. "Oh, you're so wrong. If I came off that way, I'm terribly sorry. But when you come up to present awards, just do your job." The exchange quickly escalated. Stewart took a jab at Corden's weight, and Corden retaliated by mocking Stewart's age. "Can we call a cab now? There's an old man here who needs to get home."
The people that haven't seen my belly, is there anyone who hasn't got a... It's just there. Okay, can we get a taxi ready, please? The old man going home. Okay.
The verbal sparring grew even more awkward as the two traded barbs while another speaker tried to address the audience over the microphone. Stewart taunted, "I'm waiting for your punchline, keep going." Corden shot back, "No, seriously, keep going. We can all see you dying up there." To give Corden a sliver of credit, he later claimed he had introduced Stewart with great respect. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a distinguished actor, the remarkable Sir Patrick Stewart.
Sorry, I'm waiting for the punchline. Go on. No, seriously, go on.
Okay.
No, go on. You can see my belly, and we can all see you dying right now. Let's go for it. Here we
Yet his choice to respond with biting wit rather than professionalism showed he wasn't entirely blameless. In a BBC 4 interview, Corden once admitted he felt the need to bully his way to the top in the cutthroat world of media. A mindset that might explain his combative reaction. The audience, both at the event and online, was stunned by Corden's lack of grace. Many expressed disappointment and outrage at seeing a beloved host behave so disrespectfully toward a cultural icon like Stewart. "I'm embarrassed for Corden," one Twitter user wrote. "Going toe-to-toe with Patrick Stewart like that is just indefensible." This incident marked the first time the public began to question Corden's carefully crafted, friendly, approachable persona. His arrogance and confrontational attitude not only tarnished his reputation but also planted seeds of doubt about the authenticity of the personal brand he had built. This wasn't an isolated misstep for Corden. Insiders have noted that he often reacts similarly when provoked, though he's not always entirely in the wrong. For instance, paparazzi footage has captured Corden storming through Los Angeles with an irritated, unfriendly expression, though, to be fair, having cameras shoved in one's face would test anyone's patience. Similarly, when pranked by Ant and Dec in a stunt that caused him to be late for work, Corden lashed out. While the prank was deliberately provocative, his heated response was somewhat understandable. Though this incident didn't immediately derail Corden's career, it left a lasting stain in the public's eyes. It revealed a side of him quick-tempered, lacking restraint and unafraid to attack others when criticized. This moment was an early warning sign of Corden's arrogance. One critic remarked, "It hinted that his cheerful persona might just be a facade." This event became the first step in his downward trajectory, setting the stage for bigger controversies to come. Far from learning from the Patrick Stewart incident, James Corden doubled down, sparking even bigger controversies, most notably around carpool karaoke and his disrespectful remarks that deeply shook the public's trust. Carpool karaoke, the segment that catapulted Corden to global stardom, was once hailed as a symbol of authenticity and relatability. But in 2020, a leaked behind-the-scenes video revealed that Corden and Justin Bieber were towed by a truck in some scenes rather than Corden actually driving, as viewers had been led to believe. Within days, the clip racked up over 14 million views on Twitter, igniting a wave of disillusionment. For many, carpool karaoke wasn't just light entertainment, it was a cherished moment where icons like Justin Bieber, Adele, Lady Gaga, and One Direction seemed down to earth, chatting casually in what appeared to be an ordinary car. Learning it was all a staged performance felt like a betrayal. Corden tried to smooth things over with a quip, 95% of the time, I'm genuinely putting the world's biggest pop stars in danger. Here's the list of every carpool karaoke where we used a tow truck, and here's the list of times I actually drove. But his attempt at humor only fueled the backlash. Many viewers felt mocked, their belief in the show's realness reduced to a punchline. Carpool karaoke was why I loved James, but now I'm questioning how much of it was ever genuine, one fan wrote on Reddit. The disappointment wasn't limited to Justin Bieber's fans. Entire communities of admirers of the show's guest stars expressed deep frustration. For them, the revelation that carpool karaoke was staged stripped away the emotional connection they had treasured. But the disillusionment didn't end there. Just a year later, in 2021, Corden sparked another firestorm with an insensitive comment about the K-pop group BTS during an episode of The Late Late Show. While discussing BTS's visit to the United Nations, Corden called the event unusual and mocked their fandom, ARMY, as 15-year-old girls. For millions of fans worldwide, this wasn't just a throwaway remark. BTS's UN appearance was a point of pride, not only for K-pop, but for all of Asia, proving that music could transcend cultural and linguistic barriers to become a global voice. Yet with a single jest, Corden turned that milestone into a joke, dismissing the immense effort of both BTS and their ARMY.
The United Nations General Assembly kicked off this morning in New York City, and it started with some pretty unusual visitors. Lots of people saying, why are BTS? The world leaders have no choice but to take BTS seriously. At the end of the day, BTS has one of the largest armies on planet Earth. Historic moment. It actually marks the first time 15-year-old girls everywhere found themselves wishing that they were Secretary General Antonio Guterres.
The backlash was swift and fierce. Corden didn't just insult BTS, he disrespected millions of fans, one Twitter user wrote. For ARMY, being reduced to 15-year-old girls was an affront to their diverse and powerful community which spans all ages, genders, and professions, from students to professors and artists. Unlike typical fandoms, ARMY is known for its fierce unity and unwavering loyalty to their idol. Within days, a global wave of boycotts, criticism, and calls to stop supporting Corden's show erupted, transforming a misjudged joke into a full-blown cultural scandal. After the deceptive carpool karaoke fiasco and the offensive remarks about BTS, James Corden's public image plummeted into a crisis of trust, and the controversies that followed only deepened his irreversible decline. A notable clash came in 2019 when Corden publicly sparred with Bill Maher after Maher delivered a scathing editorial on obesity, urging people to take responsibility for their health. Corden responded with a mix of reasonable arguments and sharp-witted jabs. If shaming fat people made them lose weight, there'd be no chubby kids left in schools and I'd have had a six-pack ages ago. But he undercut his point with a flippant dig. Not everyone's as lucky as Bill Maher, burning 35,000 calories a day with their inflated sense of self. Maher fired back, accusing Corden of dodging a serious discussion in favor of cheap laughs from the audience. While this spat didn't destroy his career, it cemented Corden's image as someone who'd rather clash than converse. Yet all those missteps paled in comparison to the explosive scandal at Balthazar in October 2022. A devastating blow that the public couldn't ignore. Keith McNally, the owner of the renowned New York restaurant, took to Instagram to publicly call out Corden, branding him a petty creep and the rudest customer in the restaurant's 20. According to McNally, Corden lost his temper and berated a server over a minor issue: a trace of egg white in his wife's omelet. James Corden started screaming like a lunatic at the server. "You can't do your job. Maybe I should go into the kitchen and cook the omelet myself," McNally wrote. Another incident was recounted. Corden found a hair in his dish and immediately demanded the entire bill be comped. The Balthazar incident lit a fuse, unleashing a flood of negative stories from the public. During a 2022 Reddit Ask Me Anything AMA described as one of the most brutal in internet history,
"Today, it was made clear to a lot of people that I was right all along. They're finding out what I've known since the beginning of time, that James Corden is an unentertaining asshole whom is an absolute detriment to everything he's in. His presence makes the media that he infests worse. He is the worst part of the movies he is in. He is this miasma of unentertainment, the antithesis of fun. And today, he has been banned from a New York restaurant because he is a massive dickhead as well."
Corden was buried under an avalanche of accusations from fans and eyewitnesses. One user recalled meeting him at Manchurian Legends in London 6 years earlier. He was an insufferable snob, yelling and treating the servers like garbage. Another, who attended a taping of The Late Late Show, shared, "Corden barely acknowledged the audience, just glued to his phone during breaks. Compared to Fallon or Letterman, he didn't care at all." A third recounted an experience at A League of Their Own. Corden snapped at the production team over trivial issues, making other guests uncomfortable. When fans asked for photos, he shouted at them to get lost. The AMA questions turned vicious. "Why are you such a jerk? And do you know people think you're talentless?" Overwhelmed, Corden answered just 3 questions before bailing, leaving his reputation in tatters. Under relentless pressure, Corden finally issued an apology on The Late Late Show. "I made a rude comment, and that was wrong. I'm so sorry for upsetting the server." But the delivery felt forced, more like damage control than genuine remorse. If he was really sorry, why deny it at first? One viewer criticized. The criticism wasn't limited to fans, industry peers piled on too. Craig Duncan, a director who worked with Corden in 2013, bluntly called him the most unpleasant and arrogant host he'd ever encountered. Duncan described Corden belittling the production team, calling them idiots, and dismissing their effort. A resurfaced video only worsened the damage during a game of Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts with Jimmy Kimmel. Corden couldn't even recall the names of 2 crew members on his own show. For many, this small detail was damning proof of his disregard for the people behind the scenes.
Name 2 of the cameramen in this room.
It's a different crew tonight, actually.
The stark contrast between Corden's cheerful, friendly public persona and his rude, arrogant real-life behavior became utterly indefensible. How can someone who spreads joy on screen act so disrespectfully off it? A fan wrote on Reddit. The anger stemmed not just from Corden's actions, but from the betrayal of the trust fans had placed in him. "This isn't the James Corden I admired," a longtime viewer lamented. "He's destroyed his own legacy." The fallout was undeniable. In a short time, Corden lost millions of loyal fans, and the likable everyman image he built crumbled to dust. After the relentless scandals became an undeniable burden, James Corden's decision to leave The Late Late Show felt like a final, desperate retreat. In April 2022, he announced he'd step down after the 2023 season, citing a desire to spend more time with family and return to the UK. It sounded reasonable, even touching, but with criticism closing in, many believed it was a forced exit. A move made when his star power could no longer mask the cracks in his public image. The question haunting everyone was, how did a national treasure host, seemingly born to be adored, lose it all so fast? Corden once admitted that the early success of Gavin and Stacey inflated his ego, leading to self-absorption and 18 months of therapy to curb his reckless behavior. But therapy only helped him see the problem, not fix it. Later incidents, from rude outbursts at restaurants to insensitive jabs at colleagues or artists, showed he kept making the same mistake, reacting impulsively and dodging accountability. At a deeper level, Corden's story exposes a harsh paradox in showbiz. At the top, artists don't just carry the weight of fans' expectations, they have to maintain a brand that the public trusts. That's brutal pressure. To be the fun guy on camera every night for years, Corden had to wear a mask, even when exhausted, irritable, or wrestling inner conflicts. Unresolved, that strain erodes character and seeps out in impulsive acts. In other words, Corden's slide into being unlikable might stem from being crushed by his own public persona. But pressure isn't the whole story. Some analysts point to Hollywood's glitz and power as the real culprit, dulling his humility. When doors swing open and crowds cheer, it's easy to buy into the idea you're different or privileged. Fame's biggest trap isn't the external spotlight, it's the internal delusion that you can't be wrong. That fans will always forgive, that a few rude moments won't topple your empire. Reality proved otherwise. What crushed fans wasn't just the bad behavior, it was how he handled it. Half-hearted apologies and sidestepping responsibility turned forgivable mistakes into indelible stains. To many, Corden wasn't just an artist who messed up, he was an artist who wouldn't own up. That's what made even his staunchest fans walk away. This saga offers bigger life and career lessons. First, fame is never permanent. It's like a loan of public trust built over years but gone in a single blunder. Second, an apology only matters with real change. Fans don't need perfection, but they demand sincerity. Repeated mistakes turn apologies into insults. Third, at your peak, tread carefully. Power and spotlight are rewards, but also traps that can blind you, making you lose yourself. The biggest takeaway, your career can't outrun your character. In the social media age, fans don't just watch you on stage, they see your every move off it. If your TV glow paints a pretty picture but real life shows a different person, that contradiction will blow up eventually. James Corden fell right into that trap when his lovable guy mask shattered. All that remained was disappointment and contempt. Corden's story isn't just a wake-up call for artists, but for anyone in today's world. Whether you're a business person, a leader, or just a regular person, we're all in a reality where image can spread faster than truth. Keeping a good image isn't about hiding mistakes, it's about facing them, owning them, and changing. Because the spotlight can lift you up, but only humility and character keep you there for the long haul. James Corden was once the poster boy for humor and warmth. A host who delivered unforgettable moments on Carpool Karaoke and The Late Late Show. But a string of scandals, from his clash with Patrick Stewart to the Carpool Karaoke controversy, to his rude outburst at Balthazar, exposed a man starkly at odds with his public persona. The fallout was irreversible. Millions of once devoted fans now feel only disappointment and contempt. "I used to rewatch Carpool Karaoke with Adele dozens of times," a fan wrote on YouTube. "Now all I see is a fake." Even if Corden pushes forward with projects like Gavin and Stacey or stage roles, reclaiming his former glory seems near impossible. His downfall wasn't just from bad behavior, it was his refusal to take accountability and his lack of genuine effort to make amends. Comments like "good riddance, James Corden, you're insufferable," or "maybe the most unlikable guy in the industry," reveal the depth of the damage. Corden's story is a stark warning. No matter how dazzling your fame, a few reckless moments can erase it. In a world where every action is watched, sincerity and humility are non-negotiable.